So coming up here, we have the Design for Devs panel, part 1. And just to be clear, there is homework in a part 2 tomorrow, right? So
that's what you guys wanted, homework tonight, right?
Yeah.
So just graduated from school. God damn it.
Well, welcome back. So, drop this university. No.
This is more fun than school.
Before we get started, we do have the keynote again at 2 o'clock across the hall in the ballroom. Don't miss that. At 4 o'clock, we have the action combat panel where we're going to go really deep into the nuts and bolts of how combat works in DCUO. That should be a great panel. And after that, we have our live quest at 5:30, which will be hilarious, I promise. So with that, we have Jesse Benjamin, Locke, Design Director, and Donovan Kennedy here, our lead content designer, to kick it off.
Before Donovan starts, how many of you were here last year for this? Yeah, good. Okay, this is going to be very similar, but a little different at the same time, so we'll see. Donovan's going to run you guys through it.
You guys better notes this year? I see Larry's not.
Larry's not here, so we fired him on that one. We have one better note.
We have no business constraints.
I don't think we've done all one anymore. There's no word on there either, so.
I know what word means,
Okay.
but I don't know.
I was like, it's a software package.
So I'm just going to do a little rundown of kind of what the content team does. Like they were talking about, the combat mechanics is going to be with the systems team later. So it's a little bit different on what our panels are. So it's already been announced who we are, obviously. And what to expect here, we're going to go through the content design process pretty quickly, just so you guys kind of have a framework of the way we approach building content, and maybe you can use that to help when you come to the exercise to start building your content ideas. And then an overview of the game design guidelines, with things that we try to remember when we're building content, cool things about the game, kind of points that we want to always hit when we're building new content. And then do the exercise, which should be the majority of the time here, so you don't have to listen to me. So for the guidelines, things that we always try to think about when we're building our content, story and theme, that's number one for us and our team. Some people were saying that they really like the story. That's one of the things that really drives the game. And obviously we have some really cool iconic characters to drive with. One of the interesting things that we often do, and somebody was mentioning the looking back at the interesting stories that are in the comics already. Pretty often we take a story moment or a series or something like that that's already been written in the comics. We kind of take that and put our own twist on it. Obviously, the stories have already happened basically in our world, so we may revisit it in our own way. So we always have inspiration from the books that people are already familiar with. One really good thing in game design is to always ground your content or your stories in something that's familiar. And familiarity, when you jump in and you see something you understand or you know right away, is really useful. And when we have to use the DC universe for that, it's amazing. Even for people that aren't familiar with DC, things that are familiar are really useful. And then in our game, we have action is a driving part of the way you play the game in physics. So when you're thinking about content, you can think about ways to utilize that action, how you can move around in the gameplay space, how to constrain the player, or give them freedom, give them choice to do things. And then physics, how to carry devices around, or maybe you need to carry the fuel cans over the fuel depot within a certain time, things like that. Moving players around, pushing them, pulling them. Those are all cool gameplay mechanics that we think about all the time when we're building content. And then another key point is multiplayer. Obviously, we are an MMO, so we think all the time about how, if we're building a multiplayer piece of content, how the different players can fit into different roles or do different activities. The controller's got to control the blue lanterns or something in A&B, or you need multiple tanks, or if we're playing an alert that gives the players different things to do that aren't role specific. So if you're thinking about building content, you need to think about how many people are playing, if we want to enforce roles, and give players choice on how they want to play the content. And then one of the big things for...
Big words.
Especially for... this is more of the business side.
Differentiation.
Yeah, the orthogonal differentiation, it's a pretty basic concept, really. It's having a baseline of way that you interact with the game or the game interacts with you, but have small changes that give roles to different pieces of NPCs or players. So in the case of the players, everybody's basically the same except you have different roles that you play within. They have the same stats behind the scenes. You interact with the game the same way, but the way that you fit into the game is different based on your role. And the same thing happens on the NPC side. Especially in the last DLC, Halls of Power, really drove the team to come up with ways to make NPCs that would fit different roles. So if you've noticed, there's a healer, there's a grenadier, there's chargers that act differently in the game. So behind the scenes, they are exactly the same, the stats and everything like that. But the way they interact with the world and interact with the players is slightly different. And so that goes directly towards our workload and our reuse. So we only have a certain amount of man hours per DLC that we can get content made. So we have to find ways to reuse things, make those tiny little changes to make them interesting, and reuse characters or reuse combat mechanics that we've already used in the past that are not only good for us for reuse on the business side, but it's good for players that have gotten used to content being played a certain way. So if it's a rifle guy, you see one piece of content. The next time you see the rifle guy, he's doing the same type of combos. You know how to counter him and things like that. And then balance. Balance is obviously super important. We kind of talked about hero and villain sides earlier, and making sure the heroes and villain sides are balanced is very, very important. So if you're thinking about your content and you need to either make it shared content or you need to make a hero and a villain piece of content, which we do sometimes, but we always find ways to keep the balance between the two sides. One example is in the League Hall Lockdown raid. The mechanics are exactly the same behind the scenes on the engine side between both sides. You might have Big Barda. One good example is Big Barda uses her rod to stun people around her. There's a lightning effect, she stuns people. And then during that same amount of time, on the other side, Calabac will smash the ground, and he does a stun. So the mechanics are exactly the same, player impacting, but the visuals and the story are different. So balance is very important. So when we start doing a designing a DLC, when we start building the DLC, it always starts with a concept and direction from the creative team. Jens comes up with a really cool story, often inspired, like I said, from the comic books, something that we can really grab onto and come up with cool missions and everything. Jesse will give us a framework of what type of content we need, whether it's going to be an alert or raids, or what types of things we need to build based on our cycle, the small group, big group, things like that. And that's where it all starts. So whatever that direction is, then we go back and start building the documentation for it. So, Jens will pitch to us a really awesome story. We'll all get into it. We'll have big discussions. The seniors on my team, with Jens and SJ, we'll all sit together and talk about cool ideas. But then when it comes back to my team, then each person that's building a different piece of content, like an alert or a solo or something like that, they have to write out the initial documentation. That's kind of what we're going to do here today, is your teams are going to split up and start writing that documentation. Plan out how you want to build it, what you want to build, what your inspiration is, kind of get your theme and really be as creative as you want to be. And then once those documentations, once those planning documents are completed, then it comes back and all of the leads of all the teams, the directors, all get to give their feedback. We have a big feedback loop. Artists, engineers, everybody gives feedback on the planning side from my team. And we review it. Once it's approved, then we'll start building it. So the rest of the design process is pretty long. That's obviously the entire DLC cycle. I'm not going to go into it because it's not the most fun thing to do here today. But obviously we do a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time after creating the documentation to actually get the content built and tested and get feedback, and then once it goes live, have support with you guys. Getting on live streams with guys and getting on the forums. getting as much feedback as we can as early as possible is really awesome. So we're going to start the exercise. We're going to break into teams. We need to establish a concept first for the content you're going to build, and then you're going to plan it and document it. And then part 2 will be tomorrow at 4 p.m. So some of the ideas, so what we're going to do is I'm going to hand out these, I think Ted's going to start the team up, Ted's somewhere, there he is.
I just did the math. You can do 6 groups of 6.
So if we have 6 devs, then we'll have 6 groups.
And have fun with this, guys. I know we're seeing stuff like homework and assignment and
Yeah.
No. Yeah, words. You immediately find it.
I don't want to sound too dry about it, but it should definitely be fun.
incorporate orthogonal differentiation, sorry.
Yeah, get an engineer on your team, they'll just say, no, we don't have time to build that. Sorry, I don't mean to throw you in. That's going to come back and bite me. So some of the ideas, I came up with some ideas. There's also some blank documents, so if you guys want to just be as creative as you want to, that's cool. So once we split into teams, some representative for your team to come up here and pick up one of these paperwork packets. I'll show you some of the ideas that I have right now. One is to have a New Year's Day seasonal event. One of the cool things is we have a lot of bandwidth to add seasonal events to the game. Well, not bandwidth to build it, but bandwidth to fit it within the time frame. In the year, there's time in the year to fit more seasonal events. So these are just 4 ideas just off the top of my head. Give you a little bit of direction, but feel free if you don't like these ideas, pick up a blank document and just come up with your own ideas. The Toy Man dolls. I mean, Toy Man has some really cool dolls, and they have a cool storyline. And if you're right after Christmas, maybe the dolls are loose, and you can grab wherever you want to. There's Independence Day. Maybe Uncle Sam has to support the United States, and the spirit of the United States is where he gets his powers. And maybe it's wavering for some reason.
Well, you have the model in game too.
Yeah, exactly. So that's actually one of the things is reuse. So if you can find ways to reuse things that we already have in the game, it's very useful. Thanksgiving Day, find ways for leagues or teams to unite and do something cool. Chinese New Year, we could have more mystical things, maybe Chinese dragon or something. Who knows? It's up to you guys what you want to do. And then other events. So like I said, just pick a blank document if you want to.
And keep focused on events this year. We're not doing a whole DLC thing. We're going to kind of narrow that down and think of events that we do. Jens is raising his hands and keep talking so he can't talk.
On to the other event, Be Creative, Your Choice. There's a very real possibility that we'll take some of this back and be inspired by it, if not implement it. And so I would urge you not to choose something like St. Patty's Day, because we already have one. So try and pick something in a window that we don't have, and you may see your content actually come to life.
All right, cool. Ted's going to help split up the team.
Yeah, so let's bring it back. Let's get 6 groups together. 3 for each.
I think there's 38 people in here now, so 4 groups of 7, 2 groups of 6. That's great.
Yeah.
Not trying to get yes.
Bring it down. Yeah, there we go. Ted.
Okay, so we're going to let you guys pick your dev who's going to be.
Oh no.
So we started with this group.
Kickball all over again.
And you guys pick SJ. Right here. Wow. Number 1 pick right there. That's okay.
Number 1 draft pick. You're Gray.
First? University of North Carolina.
It's these 6, right?
Yeah, that's over here.
Okay. Here's your one.
Yeah, I'm not. What?
We're not.
I thought we were not in it. I thought it was these guys.
And then we were going to get. You guys are reserved. You guys are 2. So we're looking at.
I want to roam.
There's really where there's no seasons.
Number 2 pick right here. Everybody. Go back over here.
We have a Thanksgiving dinner. We have a full team. turkey dinner. I love that tune actually.
Jesse.
Which one, Scott or Benjamin?
The good Jesse.
Which one, Scott or Benjamin? Sport.
We'll take lock. They want me. There you go.
All right.
They want me.
Wait, you got a plant. That's your
Yeah. Wait a second. Little do you know we were designed the whole and it'll be implemented because it's Jesse. Yes. First person you can choose. So my team last year, those who did
I got it.
So things like
And then you're gonna go with these guys. This will be the only one that can actually get made.
Yeah. They have the engineer advantage them.
Sure. That makes sense.
Lock.
Hey,
They weren't talking yet.
so really quick, before we start on this, I just want to say one thing. So thank you for participating in this. We really enjoy doing this with you. Okay, and then realize that every one of you is going to be getting up here and presenting your ideas. Okay, so be proud of them. Everybody here is a fan of the game and a fan of the source material. So don't be shy. Be confident. I'm sure that you're going to come up with some really great stuff. Don't be nervous is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? Just be confident in your stuff and realize everybody here is supporting you. Okay? All right, so let's go. Marcus in your group.
Okay, so what our group came up with is we decided we wanted to do not one of the other holidays that we could find out there, but we said we want to visit something that has been referred to in DCUO, but only through a single humorous collection. And we said we want to go with Easter. And so for ours, we having Easter holiday getting added in. What we focused on was we wanted to do the group instance sort of holiday event. So it was other Eastery stuff happening outside. We wanted something that was sort of humorous and a bit of a juxtaposition. So what we have is it's essentially a showdown between Lobo and Easter Bunny in a dive bar. Because for people who don't know sort of the little comic book history, Lobo was hired by the Easter Bunny to take out Santa Claus. And so we're envisioning that the Easter Bunny has tried to stiff Lobo, and so Lobo is trashing this bar that he was meeting with the Easter Bunny.
Wait, stiffed him on the payment for killing Santa
Yes.
Claus? So
Yes.
Santa Claus is dead. That explains a lot about Season's greetings, but keep going.
So as we envision this, it will be the same event both for heroes and villains. But as you're going in, if you're a hero, Oracle's going to be saying, hey, we've heard Lobo's in town, he's causing a ruckus, he's trashing some bar, get down there and quiet things down. And when you get in, you come in to the bar and you see, here's Lobo, he's chasing around this Easter Bunny who is panicking. He's running around, he doesn't know what to do. I mean, he's a rather weak little character by himself. And for the villains, well, this is a dive bar, and it turns out there's been some nefarious activities and money laundering and maybe some counterfeiting going on behind the scenes here. And so Calculator is telling the villains, hey, Lobo's causing a scene here, we need to get him out of there before the police come and find out all this other stuff that's happening in this bar. So we envision this, we really liked the layout of Clarion's nightclub, and we said if we could use essentially that layout, kind of reskinned as a really scummy, trashy, messed up dive bar. So when you walk in, you get in, and you'd be able to see Lobo chasing the Easter Bunny around, and Lobo, he's very protective of his bike, and it's in the corner there because he's not leaving it outside his space bike. So for assets, I mean, the NPCs, I mean, our main opponent is going to be Lobo, but the Easter Bunny is going to be involved as well. But even though he's not really fighting against you, he's kind of a hindrance too, because he's panicked, he's running around, he's throwing explosive eggs or something that's blowing up and knocking you around while you're trying to deal with Lobo. we envision that this fight is going to happen in several phases. So it starts off, and you pile on Lobo. You burn him down a bit, maybe to the first third, but in this case, both the heroes and the villains, there's a motivation that's happening here for ads. If you're a villain, well, the police are going to start showing up, and they're going to start adding in around say 60% or so. And so you're going to have to start dealing with cop ads that are coming in, maybe timed ads, and knock them out, as well as continue fighting Lobo while Easter Bunny's still running around in circles. Now, on the hero side, well, this is still the same dive bar, and bouncers who work at this bar, well, they've been furiously trying to hide all the evidence of their nefarious activities. Now the bouncers are coming out and trying to throw these heroes out who are in their bar too, because they know, hey, heroes are there, that's bad news if we get caught. Now, the third step, this is where we envision the sort of the win mechanic, would be, now Lobo's getting really low, say around 10% or so, and we envision around then that say that whatever security measures or whatever space force field or whatever he uses around his bike, he's really protective of his bike. But around 10%, bike becomes a interactable object. You go over, you push his bike over.
You can't push over the Space Hawk.
And that's just it. Well, you shouldn't.
You shouldn't
Push over the Space Hawk. And so this distracts Lobo, who's, no, my bike. He goes over there, and that gives you the opportunity to interact with Lobo's chains and basically subdue Lobo, and that's going to be your victory mechanic, is you tangle him up in his own chains there.
I think the line would actually be, my bike, you bastard.
Yeah. If it was even that bad. So, as I said, the art assets that we'd need would essentially be Lobo, as we have not yet seen the Sarnian in DC Universe.
Let the Lobo for Legends cries begin. I see what you're doing here, by the way.
The Easter Bunny, who we envision as being sort of a small model, but we were saying it makes sense for him to be small, but we don't want him to be visually small. We were saying we perhaps have some particle or aura around him that kind of makes him visually larger, but he's supposed to be, I mean, he's rather comical looking. He's humorous, he's panicking, he's running fast circles.
Maybe humanoid kind of form, and the cutesiness of the Easter Bunny is what
being chased by the big fighter
bring
Lobo.
the juxtaposition theme kind of together.
And we had also had one idea for kind of like one final mechanic after like a cutscene with the Easter Bunny talking to you, kind of like the Huntress iconic anomaly. There's a
Give villains the option to beat up the Easter Bunny too.
Actually, yeah.
Kick him
So
with his
after
down.
she talks to Santo Castro Sentimento, you get an option. We're thinking about giving the players the option to either let the bunny go off or one-shot the Easter Bunny.
And then the last sort of graphical asset that we would need would be Logo Space Hawk. And so in terms of other new art requests, we were going with rewards for an Easter season. We were thinking you could have a Logo-inspired kind of biker suit. We were also thinking that to go with the Easter theme, maybe the biker suit could be the male style and a bunny costume could be the female style. Thinking back to, Vegas Bunny. We're thinking back to the keynote the other night. In addition, thinking maybe like a model of Lobo's bike base item. Could be like a rare draw.
Like a replica.
A replica, yeah.
That's a wonderful thing for SJ, is the word replica. And, yes, we can add anything we've put into Halls of Power into your base as a...
And then finally, sort of Easter items that everybody would want, maybe they're from the collections or the briefs, be like bunny ear style for the head, and maybe a cottontail style as a belt.
Pastel aura.
And he really wants a pastel pink aura.
Goes with your trinket shirt.
So that's our group's pitch.
All right, first of all, well done. Very good pitch, by the way. I thought this idea was brilliant and really very inspired by, I don't know, how many of you have actually read the comic where...
Christmas special?
The Lobo Christmas special, Hallish. That explains a lot. Okay.
So yeah, it's very, very true to the source material. The Easter Bunny is kind of a dick in that, if I remember correctly. And
Pulling
yeah,
off a hit contract.
exactly, he's a hitman. So very, very cool. What I would probably urge you to do, let's say one of my designers is pitching me this, or any dev on the team is pitching me this, I would actually ask you, why not the Oblivion bar?
We actually discussed the Oblivion bar, and when we were pulling up maps of it, it was just really skinny. The Oblivion bar was where we wanted it to be.
Okay. Now, I agree with you. It is very skinny in there. But I think it offers you some really cool things.
Especially
I don't know if there was...
The lore of the Oblivion bar, it's always moving.
It's always moving, it's always changing, right? So that's the interesting thing. Does the Oblivion bar that we see in the endgame content for the Magic storylines have to be the same Oblivion bar that we see in this content? What is the Oblivion bar? Okay, so I would urge you to actually focus on that. I found that potentially kind of the presence of cops in here and some of the more mundane characters and NPCs as opposition would be better served to be replaced with Sentinels of Magic or Cult of Blood, and you could kind of sub those things out on either side. Hero and villain Magic characters occupy the Oblivion bar. Basically, I think it suits everything you're looking for. It's a far more iconic location to really ground it back into a place that we've experienced, even if we would do it a different way in the game. So really cool concept, though. I really liked it. But my thing would be, okay, cool. Take that back, redraft that up, and give me something that works with the Oblivion bar.
Yeah, which I think it was Sora who first brought it up. Oblivion bar would be perfect.
It would be perfect.
And then we pull on maps and go, wow, that map is really skinny.
Yeah, I mean, so that comes down to...
Yes, it's very poor for concept. We couldn't build any cool content in there. But if you go with the concept of it changing, then we could have a different layout.
Exactly. You take those assets, you change them around a little bit. Sometimes it's worthwhile to explore those things, and it all comes down to production and scope. But in a weird way, I think you're saving yourself some time by going that route because you've got a lot of NPCs at the ready that make sense and are at the power level of some of these characters.
I like that it was comical, that you guys chose the season that you can make it kind of a comic book because I'm very, very serious all the time. I'm trying to channel Paul Abdul's apparently Paul Abdul here.
You are so amazing.
That was the next thing I was going. I loved it. It was. I don't watch the show.
You inspired my soul.
I did miss. I don't know why, but I missed why we're fighting Lobo. I know they were fighting over, but what was the reason I was there to fight?
Well, the Easter Bunny. The Easter Bunny stiffed him. Well, wait, it would be the other way around, right? So did he stiff Lobo? Lobo would be paying, right? Oh no, the Easter Bunny.
No, Easter Bunny hired Lobo.
So Lobo killed Santa
Why
Claus.
are you there? You're there to stop the riot that's happening.
Yeah, exactly. In the Oblivion bar.
And as a
I'll
villain,
argue that's loose.
as a villain, you're there to stop it before the police show up because there's
Yeah, I get it.
stuff.
I get it now. I think what it is, for me, that feels a little loose, but it's not any looser than some of the stuff we've done in the past. I think it's okay.
Glass house. Okay.
Exactly. I think I just took notes. I liked it. It was pretty nice. I like that we guys embraced the fact that it was, Easter Bunny, and we thought, you know what, let's just make this fun and tongue-in-cheek kind of stuff, and take that comic that people may not ever heard of and have a reason to read it. That's kind of neat.
And this is Donovan's group, so let's hear his unbiased feedback.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It's the best one I've heard all day. So.
Yeah, go
Next, Justin's
Let's
group.
get it going.
We're going to stick to like 5 minutes for the presentation.
Don't
so.
embarrass me.
You gotta go Micro Machine Man fast.
Sorry.
For those who are out there, there's nothing there.
There should be power cord laptop, a cord, USB cord that fits the mini USB.
Okay, our idea was, it wasn't really a IT seasonal, it was more of an event/operation. In theme with the new gods and everything and the DLCs coming out, we wanted to do the Apokolips induction. And it basically starts out where you get a journal mission where Oracle or Calculator lets you know that random citizens in Metropolis are being abducted by boom tubes. So you basically queue up, you go out into the world,
you have to save some of these civilians, and after you save a certain number of them, who's ever operating the boom tube gets pissed, and you get zapped up into this area where it's kind of a holding cell where these citizens are going to be converted into paradigms. Now, the cool thing about this is that it's an 8-man, and you actually get, when you get zapped, you get into 4 random groups of 2. So it picks, it's just completely randomized, and then as you go through, each group of 2 has to face basically a parademon jailkeeper, and then you have the two-man groups come together to 2 4-man groups, and then they fight basically an elite parademon, and then they all come together at the end, and you end up fighting randomly one of the 4 female groups to basically end this and get out of the save the citizens, get out of this holding cell area, what have you. And we thought it was a really cool idea because we've never seen that random aspect, and it kind of takes what's been attempted in previous DLCs and previous encounters, where the group is split up and it gives you the chance to, basically work together.
Oh yeah. So basically, if you have a duo group that is unsuccessful, it isn't strong enough, or for some reason you cannot defeat the duo boss, or even get out of the jail cell. We're imagining that in order to get out of the jail cell to defeat the duo boss, you have to perform a series of objectives by either building a bomb to blow up the jail cell, or creating some kind of elaborate trap to open the jail cell. The one group that does defeat their duo boss, they can go through and actually backtrack around and defeat the duo boss themselves. Through one-sided doors. Through one-sided doors, and then they themselves can go inside the jail cells to assist the other group members getting out. When they form then they can form the alert side group, defeat that boss, and when they meet up in the middle, they can actually bypass the final boss and go to the other side, defeat that alert boss, go through those other paths to free the other members that if they are not able to do it as well. We also had a mechanic where the alert bosses drop some kind of items that actually determine the mechanics of the final fight.
Very similar to what happens in Themyscira, but
yes, where you can choose basically.
Right, so some intentionality on the player part,
yes,
along with
to make it more difficult, less difficult.
Yeah, like you can choose, for example, the boss gets an attack buff, but his defense is down, or the defense is up, and they don't hit as hard, etc.
Cool.
NPCs would be parademon guards, the elite parademons. That could probably be used from the latest power. Female furies would be introduced. I'm assuming you guys are already working on for future DLC.
Yeah, I see what you're doing here. Anything else other than trying to get me to leak something?
Overall, we said simple disappearing citizens into the sky. It wouldn't be too difficult. Because
did you say that?
Yeah, it's a lot of
Okay.
and then one map.
Okay. Okay, good. Very good presentation. One of the things I liked about it was, first of all, you're tapping into a new, DLC theme that we have. So you're really thinking outside the box in terms of, stuff we've seen before. This would be pretty fresh that we're seeing. And I also like it's not necessarily tied to a holiday, because obviously we would probably not want everything to be themed after a holiday. Some things to be a little more generic. I mean, even Tides of War isn't necessarily a holiday, right? Although it is more of a seasonal. Some of the things in the presentation I didn't quite get. I did have Locke filling me in on a couple things. I think maybe nerves got the better of me on a couple of these details, which threw me for a loop. I did find though that boom tubes don't abduct people, right? It's the parademons that are coming out, or whatever's coming out, that abduct people. And if it's just parademons, it seems very one-sided to me. In the past, what we've done is had a boom tube, and if you are hero or villain, it contextually will spawn out the proper enemy for you. So it does get double the work in terms of that approach, but I think just being one-sided parademon goes right back to Thurkis's point, from a villain perspective of maybe not hitting the beat. So I would challenge you to think about representing both factions on that front. It's hard for me to comment on your cast list because I'm not going to confirm or deny what cast is coming up. No, actually, in seriousness, like I don't want to confirm or deny what is coming up in Halls of Power 2 and 3. But that's you know, I would say New Gods at that point for this pitch could be okay, right? Not necessarily a specific one because we would have to target ones that we are making and have on hand. Split groups are really tough, and I didn't think that was going to work at all until Locke filled me in that there's a matinee there that does the auto splitting for you. Because typically what happens with split groups in the past is not anyone in this room in particular, the general you, okay? But you all find a way to be like, well, we're going to send 6 guys here and 1 dude here, and that 1 dude's going to be the tank, and he's just going to sit there and turtle until these 6 guys burn this down, then we'll all join him. You know, so it's really tough to do the split stuff unless you have a mechanism to enforce it. And if you're using the matinee for that, that would work.
So I have my comments is mostly about the mechanics. There is a little bit of a story element that I think is a little weak, like why are villains stopping the abductions? Why do they care? I don't know, but that could be clear.
Because the villain faction is so small right now that they need all the children. Yeah.
Tharkus, abductor of children.
If you're forcing players into random group splits, it's a little tough. You know, what if 2 healers get in the same group on one side? Well, so they're just going to sit around for 20 minutes while the group gets, you know, it frees them out.
The idea behind that was that pretty much everyone now has at least 1 armory and they use them.
Yeah, but you're forcing them.
You can't exactly force armories on players. This is the paid feature.
Exactly.
But we do have the option of allowing people to assist the other teammates.
Sure. I was just going to say though, as far as gameplay goes, that it's a better option to give players more choice. I know Jens was saying that choice can be gained a little bit, but giving players choices on how they approach the content, how they team up on who they want to team up with, and things like that. Maybe we can enforce only 2 people go walk through this door, or something like that. You know, if you go stand on this teleport pad when the switching's full, those guys split out, something like that. But allowing the player to make that choice instead of being forced random, I think is a little bit.
So you guys have a really good concept, I think, to work on. I would send you back to do some more revamps and tweakings, just based on some of the feedback that you've heard here. But I think you have a solid foundation for something that would be very cool. So good job on that. Thank you very much. All right, who's next? Jesse Scott came out and said, my team's down to 2 people. Apparently everybody participated on day 1 had a 1-day pass.
Not everyone.
Not everyone, sorry.
Let's go.
So we drew the New Year's Day Toy Man content, looked at his backstory. He was stiffed by Lex Luthor, so it's a little bit of a thing with that, so we've played into that. What we're looking at is an open world thing where Toy Man is abducting citizens out on the street for New Year's. And he's planning to use them as test subjects because he thinks he has perfected a Superman exhibit. And whether you're, so if you're heroes, of course, you're trying to rescue the citizens. And if you're villains, you're trying to come in and destroy the toys and gain access to the exhibit because you're hopefully getting paid by Lex Luthor to get that technology and or locate where Toyman is holding his possible Superman exhibit, where you could then queue in through a 4-person and stop your hero Toyman and his potential Superman toy infused with this exhibit test business. And if you're a villain, you're in there to basically beat up Toyman to get the Superman exhibit for Lex Luthor.
The mechanics are going to be very similar. Instead of fighting a Superman toy, you're actually fighting Superman, because Superman comes in right at the time that you're trying to get the technology and wants to arrest Toyman himself. So you have to contend with the actual Superman so that the villains don't miss out on beating up an actual hero.
Map-wise, we're looking at the Aquaman warehouse. NPCs, of course.
It's the warehouse with 4, so the one where you have to figure out where the ceremony is going to start. I think that map hasn't been used before for any other.
The Superman skin for the toy with a wind on his back, Superman, Toyman toys, nutcrackers, etc. Art in the street, possibly confetti. Trinket-wise, you already have the fireworks trinket that would work for that. Trying to think of something new, we've thought of maybe, and I'm going to get the word wrong, kazoo or the tongue thing that pops out. Toyman-wise, we did look up that he has teddy bear bombs, which I thought might be a nice thing for him to have going as a stun. And there can be a playoff with him between the Superman toy and him, where he, whittle down Superman toy, he has to wind it back up.
So basically, you're beating down the main boss, and then when he's halfway down, he's going into a stun, where then Toyman tries to charge up the Toyman doll, and you have to prevent Toyman from doing that. For the villain side, it would be you've got Superman down so that he can't do anything else, and Toyman is trying to escape. So you have to stop Toyman from escaping, and that gives Superman the chance to regain some of his power.
All right, cool. Thank you.
All
right, so I just do want to say this: that we are running very short on time, so I have to keep my comments much shorter and get through these quicker if we want to hear everybody's. So, first of all, good job on incorporation of some of the art assets that you were listing out. I could tell that you were really thinking about things we have, so you can be very efficient with implementing this. It's always very important. And I really felt like we thought through all the boss fights very well in terms of how those were going to work from both sides. Abduction of children, kind of...
Citizens.
Citizens? Okay, citizens, got you. You said children, okay. Abduction of the citizens, I didn't quite understand how that connected to the testing of the exobyte.
He needs compatible DNA to infuse the exobyte into the toys.
Okay, I don't get that. I mean, I get it when you say it to me, but I'm not sure that it connects strongly with the Toyman motif, right? It's a bit of a leap, okay? When you're dealing with the seasonal events, which have to be just so tiny, bite-sized things, you need to be just very strong to the core of the theme that you're talking about. So I felt that you could have just maybe lost the abduction of the citizen part and worked more toward just toys, thinking about more like the St. Patty's Day event, which is just, St. Patty's Macy's all over the place. So I would direct you to streamline that a little bit more.
So my comment is I think it's cool you guys have research, but I agree with Jim that the abduction side is the weaker side, the stronger side is the toys run right with it.
Cool. I like the creative reuse you guys did for the Superman both sides. That was really smart.
Yeah, very good on that front. I agree. So definitely very cool, and it's a good start. There are some things that I think that we would tweak. If designers brought that to us, we would probably urge you more into a stronger Toyman theme. Okay? All right, cool. That was awesome. Thank you. Who's next? Quick.
Whoever's next.
Let's go. Team Tunso. Let's kick some ass.
Let's go. We just have 2 minutes. So, if you could speak quickly, that would be appreciated.
My coach, man, if I don't see start us off.
Alright, so Eclipso has done it. He has physically broken the spectrum to the point where the shards of his 4 humanities and judgments.
Sorry, can you tell us what kind of just general event it is?
It's based off of Day of the Dead and All Souls Day.
Cool. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so spread throughout Gotham, there are now shards of darkness, like from the Midtown area by the mall. And at those shards, there are 4 of the humanities that you have to either, well, you're going to defeat them on either side, and then hero side, you click the shard, destroy it, and restore some of it. villain side, you corrupt it into more shadow men for Eclipso army. After doing that, you have the 4-man event you can go into, and it's basically a spectral astral version of Robinson Park, just the park. You have to help since you've been collecting these humanities, you have to help restore them into a new host, which one of the iconic magical characters from your faction will help you decide what it is. After you guide the host to this area, get humanities restored, hero side you'll fight Eclipso, villain side you will once again destroy the reimbued spectre. We have year 2 planned as well for this. You'll get the Robinson Park Spectral area as a PvP map, and from year 2 on, you will see Eclipso and Spectre inside the marketplace as X like that.
Let's let it. You guys are really working it. Really working it. I applaud your efforts.
Right.
First of all, really like that you guys thought even ahead on the next year of what you would do. That's a very important part of the process to think about how these things are extensible. Good on you for that. I'll be totally honest with you. The Day of the Dead, All Souls Day, really badass idea. I honestly probably would not have landed on something like that if I were trying to map out right now, like and fill in all the holes. It wouldn't have really occurred to me. And you picked two amazing characters, I think, to do that. And we have a lot of assets for those characters and things that we could use. So you're leveraging things that are in the game. I thought all in all, this was a great presentation, a great idea, and something that we could actually pull off in the game. Yeah. Leave all the legends crap out of it.
Do I get his number 1 now?
It was really good. Like all these shows, you guys did a very good job. That was a good presentation.
If you didn't hear, a lot of proofs.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool idea too in your instance where you have a ride-along iconic. Maybe it's a random one or something like that. That's a really awesome idea.
Well, we are super short on time, but I will say that if you have extra stuff, tell me after, because I really did like that idea. Fantastic, good job. Are you proud, Tunso?
I am. If it's okay, in case we
Yeah,
Those darn server crashes.
All right, Stoops.
First, I want to say I had no direct influence on picking this one there, but I was really happy these guys picked it.
Are you covering your ass? Are you giving credit where credit's due?
Yes.
Which is it?
I'm giving credit where credit.
Okay, good.
But these guys picked up the Independence Day event. Basically, the American spirit is at an all-time low because of all the attacks on Metropolis and Gotham. And people are tired of all the new heroes and supervillains basically running unchecked. And the government, nothing's really being done to rebuild the cities. So basically what the heroes have to go out to do, Amanda Waller decides that something needs to be done about this. So she enacts 2 different plans. First she sends out the heroes out there, but with using Captain Atom to lead the heroes out there to instill more pure American spirit, patriotism in all civilians out there. While she sends Major Force to push the villains to go out and basically enact more of a hawkish patriotism feeling and everything. So all of this is in order to get Uncle Sam's influence either towards the pure side or the more hawkish side. So basically what for the open world instances, open world stuff is everybody goes out and they deal with 3 different types of things. First, you go out and try to either stir up good or bad propaganda by inspiring crowds, either with, so let's all pull together, to help rebuild this. Meanwhile, while the villains are going out there saying, stuff like, Lex Luthor for president. Also, the next mission would be to go out and you would have to set up a fireworks display to instill more American spirit either towards the pure side or towards the more Hawkish side. Then there would be going out and dealing with either unruly crowds or civil unrest or protecting protesters or rallies. All this would be to raise, more American spirit, patriotism in there to strengthen Uncle Sam. Meanwhile, the actual event you drew up for would be inside Metropolis City Hall, where it'd be similar to the Swamp Man instance, where Captain Atom or Major Force, if you're a villain, would come in and activate a device that would turn that American spirit more into the pure side or the more hawkish side to basically gain Uncle Sam's influence in either one of those directions.
Cool. Very cool.
Uncle Sam is, because of the
so you show up and Captain Atom has influenced him to be more peaceful-ish or something?
Well, at the beginning,
so the villains fight him in that case?
Well, it's sort of at what point does he get infused with the hero side? He would be after he's been defeated and reinfused, and the villain side is before he gets infused, and then he becomes good. Now he has to fight the villains.
So this was really cool, but I really got to say, I think this is a really tough nut to crack because there is a lot of sensitivity that needs to be taken with this particular type of event. Okay, so given like recent events, you have to be very careful about going out and like quelling protesters. Do you know what I mean? Like, let me just deliver my feedback. So, I like the use of Amanda Waller. I thought that was really great because deep down, no matter what, I do believe she is a patriot. Okay, so I thought that was very cool, and I like the use of Uncle Sam. And sort of, the feeling of the citizens, based on Gotham Metropolis and everything that is going on there, somehow maybe him driving him mad and he's doing crazy stuff. Is that what I basically got out of that? Okay, I really like that angle. Trying to get Major Force involved in this sort of hawkish patriotism and dealing with the protesters or the rioters or anything like that, that gets really tricky, and I keep it simpler. I take all that out of there. First of all, just use the suicide collar. Okay, just, villains, you are now in the Suicide Squad, and you are going to be doing this. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it, because I'll blow your head off. Okay, somehow that's okay. We don't need to worry about that. But you get my point here, right? And I would just go with that angle of cleaning up the city, therefore improving the feeling of the citizens, which would then have the effect that you needed on Uncle Sam. I think you're skirting some issues that could easily be taken as offensive. I mean, we put a walrus rug in the game, and it just started an uproar on the forum. So you can imagine what some of the content you're talking about here could do. And you do have to be careful and sensitive about these things when you're trying to design this content. It's very cool, but I think you can keep it simpler and less risk of offending somebody.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the theme and the idea behind it, but I think that you have to work out some of the kinks to make sure you didn't actually get blasted for it or get just denied from it out in general. But I like the idea of a patriot type thing, and the use of it in the law and the use of Uncle Sam's really cool.
Yeah, cool.
Very cool.
I do want to point out they do have a Canadian, so.
Yes.
There was a Canadian in that group,
Is this
so.
the last group? Yeah. How much time do we have left, Ted?
5 minutes. You gotta run up stage. You gotta run. Knock the other guys on the wall. Super speed.
Oh, it's the best one. Wait until you hear it.
Bribery. We decided to think outside the box and not go with the specific holiday.
Because Lobo and the Easter Bunny was just all inside the box.
No interruptions. So we're going with the seasonal event of Sunday Life.
Oh.
And there are thievery and armored trucks being robbed and ATMs being broken down by these little bots that are dressed like little suits of cards. you have to run around the world and kill 8 different ones to be able to queue up for the event that takes place in Monarch Play in the Monarch playing cards. And you're told that there's some goings on there, and that's where the little card bots were coming from. And so you go into the first room, and you're fighting 10 and her 8 little Indians, which is part of the Royal Flush game. So you fight her, you burn her down, and she gets to 50%, and she runs on ahead into, you think, the next room. You go into the next room, and you're fighting the king and the queen, and you burn them down to 50%, and they run on ahead. And then when you come to the third room, you come across 10, and she's fighting with Jack, and you fight and you burn them down to 50%, and they run on ahead into the main room, where all 4 of them are there, and as you're fighting them, they call them their ace in the hole. And you have to burn down ace at the end. And that's basically how it goes.
So let me see if I got this straight. So is it an actual branded SOE Live seasonal event, or did you get inspired by SOE Live and it's a Royal Flush event?
It's a Royal Flush event, but it's inspired from somewhere.
Inspired?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not actually, it's not, because what I wanted to make clear here is we might actually have trouble getting that approved from WB to actually put SOE Live in their universe, or SOE as your company. But as long as, if you're talking about drawing inspiration, I didn't quite get that in the beginning. Right. So just putting that off the side, it's a Royal Flush event, right?
Yes.
That we would run at the same time while we were doing SOE Live, because there's the Vegas theme, right? Exactly. That's very cool, and I would keep it at that angle. Really creative on that front, and really ties into the brand. And we could put it up during this window of time and not really make it obvious to our people that we approved, because they won't watch this video and Trex will edit it out. That was our intention in the first place, and maybe it would work.
I just thought that maybe, you know, the market cash could be poker chips, and one of the styles could be one of the ruffled tuxedos and a short mini wedding dress for the women. Like
yeah, sure, cool.
To tie into Vegas.
Very cool. I enjoyed it.
So I only have two big takeaways here that made me raise my eyebrows. One was the keyed event, which we always like keyed events. When I mean by keyed event, you must do this before you can do this. Sometimes that's very negative when you see.
Oh no, it would be done like
it's all in
the
order.
Christmas and the Halloween, where you have to do the outside, and then you have the option.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the key though, right?
It's the same thing.
Okay. Thematically, it goes in that order. But I can cue if I wanted to, right? And then Monarch again.
Well, I want the Ace of Clubs.
We use 15 tonight. It's everywhere.
We went to Monarch because it has 3 seconds.
No, it makes sense perfect. It's just funny. I wrote it down because like, wow, we use that.
So
the most popular playroom.
Sure. You know what? And speaking of Ace of Clubs, because I can't remember if I don't think we ever used that. You know, we certainly do build unique environments for seasonal events. We've got the Aquaman Atlantean base, for example, Clarion's nightclub. So yeah, it's totally possible to just say, yeah, we'd like to actually bring Ace of Clubs into it, and it would make more sense to than Monarch, because typically Royal Flush Gang is a Metropolis kind of based gang, so it would make a lot more sense.
But the classic ones, not the new ones.
Well, we can nerd out on that later.
The mechanics you're talking about, that's what I want to talk about. I love the characters and everything. You're talking about the theme and everything. But the mechanics, I think one thing that I would approach with my designers I would say, give the players some choice on some of this stuff. Like maybe if they defeat these guys first, those are the ones that fall back to the next room. You take out the 2 clubs or whatever. And similar to Assassins, but as you're progressing through this activity you're talking about, give the players choice on who.
Choose which card you're going to play?
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. That would make it a little more dynamic and pretty cool to replay. Cool.
Very good stuff. Thank you to everybody. All right. So that was I hope you guys enjoyed doing that exercise over the last last couple days. We certainly enjoyed it. I don't know if we need to do a day 3 next time. We'll see. But that was a lot of fun for us. There certainly were some really creative ideas that I think we can chew on and go back, and we'll let you know if anything comes of these in the near future. We do have a PvP panel that's about to start in here. In fact, are we late for this or no? Right on time. I do encourage you, even if you don't play PvP, just stay for this panel because you may find some very interesting things here that will make you want to give it a try. So thank you very much for attending these panels. Thank you.